So something to look forward to. I can't tell you what's going to happen, but that is definitely a time period to look out for as far as difference and change coming in that realm. So it might feel stagnant right now, but that's okay. It should feel stagnant right now, just like it should have felt like power struggles back in 2008, 2009. And as long as those two things are clear and we can resonate with those, you can just understand what you might be able to expect come this summer. Okay? And so that's the talk about the relationship side of things. I hope that helps. In terms of the career part now, so looking at the chart in terms of what are the creative potentials, etc. And right away, I mean, there's definitely a lot showing here that would say that here's someone that needs to work independently, needs to be the boss of themselves. Okay, and so this goes back to that idea of Pluto being in the 6th house, in the sense of having that slave-master relationship, never, or at least intending to find a real balance of that in some sense. But so always feeling dissatisfied when we feel like we're just enslaved to someone else, and that could be enslaved to a company that we work for, or enslaved to some job we just don't care for all that much. Here's someone with a lot of creative potential, with Mercury and Uranus conjunct in this chart, and that's right at the 7th house cusp. So again, that right-hand side of the chart where that horizontal line ends, there's a conjunction between Mercury and Uranus. That's a very creative mind at work here. Someone that has a lot of creative ideas for others, that 7th house being for others. So here's someone that could take someone, a client, and do something creative with them. Okay, so whatever that is, that could be applied to anything from, like working in any kind of creative field, like I'm trying to think, shows are coming to my mind, like What Not to Wear or something like that, where you're doing makeovers for people or whatnot. Not that would be the specific job, but that's the kind of thing that would be applied to. But anywhere you're working with clients, and there is a sense of, giving your creative 2 cents, and you have, and this is indicating a lot of creativity in the mind. But there's something that needs to be done to unleash that. And there's an imbalance here. If we look at the top of the chart to the bottom of the chart, at the very bottom of the chart, we see Saturn in the 4th house. At the top of the chart, we see the Moon in the 10th. This opposition here, this is suggestive of, a little bit of difficulty in expressing herself a little bit. And so Saturn in the 4th house, this is a lesson in learning how to create our own foundation. And so there can be some fears associated with not having a solid ground to stand on. And a lot of people with Saturn in the 4th house have childhood experiences where things shifted a lot. There wasn't a lot to stand on. And so part of this intention of this lesson in life is to form your own foundation and to be your own source of emotional support in some way. And that usually doesn't kick in until about age 30. It takes till about that age to get to the point where this person's, or anyone with Saturn in the 4th house, can be comfortable enough to be in their own skin and support themselves. Opposing that Moon up above, that Moon, that opposition accentuates this idea of needing to form one's own emotional foundation. But also with the Moon in the 10th house, that's a real need. There's kind of this unconscious need to be recognized. Okay? There's an unconscious need to be seen and known and recognized. And along with those battles going on in the 6th house of service, there's a sense of, if this individual is not seen for what they're doing, there's a lot of dissatisfaction. Excuse me. And so that's something to keep in mind. And so there's basically a struggle here between wanting to be seen and known, and then wanting to have a firm foundation to stand on. And so we can see that, or at least this individual would definitely see this as two opposite things that can't be bridged. That either things going to be stable, and I'm going to have a job, for example, that's going to have a nice, dependable paycheck, and things will be okay, and I have to ignore this need to be recognized for something, or I can lose it all and go be recognized but have nothing and not know where I'm going to stand and not know where money's going to come from. And so this is this imbalance that exists within her very strongly that suggests that from her perspective, it doesn't seem like those two things can balance, but the reality is they can. And so when she can realize that she can at least form a foundation of security and find a way to be recognized, that bridging of that gap will unleash this creative mind within her. In other words, that creative mind within her has a hard time coming out, and it can come out in negative ways when there is imbalance in the situation. So in other words, when she's ignoring the need for a foundation or ignoring the need for being recognized, then this creative side, this Mercury-Uranian connection here, this creative part of her mind, can be locked up and only come out in ways that are kind of like unpredictable things she says, or inappropriate things that she might say in certain situations that might ruin a chance to form a foundation or ruin a chance to be recognized in a positive way. Maybe she gets recognized in more out of a negative light. Okay, and that doesn't have to be the case. The remedy for this is to recognize the balance that can exist between foundation and a sense of security, as well as a sense of kind of freedom in the outer world and recognition in the outer world. And when those things are balanced, that's when the creative mind can be unleashed in a positive way, and for the intention of helping others with creative ideas and that kind of thing. So that's, again, more of a general sense of the chart and the potential in the chart. Along with that, with Saturn in the 4th house, it's also in the sign of Leo. And Saturn in the sign of Leo, in general, is a sense of a fear of expression, okay, or a fear of rejection of one's expression is probably the better way to put that. And so that is something that she's battling with. It's a sense of, I have this creative part of me, but it's going to be rejected, so I'd rather just be safe. And so breaking free from that, and the only way to break free from that is to choose to do so. And but by doing that, that will be the first step in allowing that creative self to have a place to kind of exist in some sense.